Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Stock. In this video, I would like to talk about Coinbase and the future that I see for Coinbase going forward, some of the analyst estimates that we have, some of the news surrounding Coinbase right now, and also crypto in general. I'm really excited about some of the things that I got jotted down, and I'd like to make my case for Coinbase in this video. So stick around, let's get ready to rock. Welcome back. I'd like to take things in a little bit different of a direction. Normally I talk about Patreon and WEBULL right now, but instead I'd like to tell just a small story that I have about my history with crypto. So I first heard about Bitcoin, like a lot of other people. That was the first thing, like Bitcoin, what the heck is Bitcoin? And then later the script coins started coming out and I heard about people building mining rigs, so I checked into it. I was like, maybe I want to build one of my own. And I had a buddy who was also building one, and so talking back and forth about the different ideas that we had, the different pieces that we found that were going to be the best for building the mining rigs. And so what I ended up settling on was a fairly basic motherboard with a couple PCI Express slots, and then the 16x ones, and then also I think the 4x ones. I think there were 4 total. And the video cards that I was using at the time were enormous, and there's no way to put all 4 of them in at once in order to do the mining and run the operations that I had to run. So I literally mounted the motherboard onto some 2x2s, set them down inside of a milk crate, and through that I was able to provide enough structure, and it was nice and open to the air, and I actually had a box fan blowing on it to keep it cool because it ran hot. It was a good thing that was in the wintertime. And I ran what was called a headless mining rig, where you just don't have a monitor attached to it. And I forget, I'd have to go back and look and see what I used in order to communicate, but I had it here running at my home. I had it on my home network, and then while I was away at work, what I could do is I could go in through my phone, and I could pour it into the computer, and I can check and see how it was going, how the coin mining was going. And Doge was actually one of those coins that I was mining at the time, and I swear somewhere in my house, if I didn't throw it away, I don't think I would have on purpose. I have about 20,000 Doge coins somewhere. So at about 50 cents a piece, and we can go and look at the stock price later on, but 50 cents times that 20,000, that's $10,000 sitting possibly somewhere in my house. But the story gets worse. Even if I did find it, I don't have the encryption key anymore. I'm almost 100% certain that when my house got purged during spring cleaning or something like that, that this notebook that I had it written down in that looked otherwise like trash, I think got thrown out. I've never been able to find it since, and it had so many different passwords in it. So not only do I hope to, I've looked in the places that I can think to look. I haven't found either the notebook or the flash drive. It's got to be somewhere. So with that story, I also wanted to show you a picture of what happened to my mining rig. I was away at work, everything was running fine. I had all the settings tweaked so that it was running perfectly, and I think I was running 2 power supplies at the time. I had an 800 watt and a 1000 watt power supply, so 1800 watts of power, juiced almost to the max, running these video cards at breakneck speeds, as much as I can do and still have my system stable. And with the 4 video cards, as big as they were, not all being able to fit, I had to use what were called powered risers, and powered risers were hard to come by because they weren't really too commonly used of a thing, and all it did was it plugged down into the motherboard, and then it was just an extension cable, a flat ribbon extension cable that came up and then allowed you to mount your graphics cards higher. So I was at work, everything was running smoothly. I check again at lunchtime, see how many coins I managed to mine up, and wouldn't you know, nothing. And I worked 45 minutes away from my home, and I had nothing to do. I couldn't call anybody, I couldn't tell anybody, nobody would have known how to diagnose it or to see what the issue was going on. So I get home, and I was like, oh man, this thing's cooked. And I looked, and what happened was one of the powered risers actually had a short circuit, and it actually melted the port that it was plugged into. So just give me one moment, I'll bring up that picture, and you can see what it looked like. So here it is. Yeah, it was a PCI Express, one of the 4X slots that you have, and you can see that that melt away that we had. And I mean, it's a good thing that it didn't start a house fire or something like that, that it wasn't some big short that caught other things on fire. It just happened to fry the system. And that was that for my mining rig. And I ended up selling off my graphics cards. That was expensive. It was like a $4,000 mining rig, which between the Bitcoin that I had about 1.5 Bitcoin at one point, and the, well, now valued about $10,000 worth of Dogecoin that could be somewhere. They're gone, but that would have easily paid for the mining rig over time. At the time, it didn't quite pay for itself by the time that it burned up. All right, sorry if there's a little glitch there. I had to switch out the battery. That one was almost dead. So let me move along. From there, I just wanted to share a little bit of a story about my cryptocurrency days, my coin mining days, and I left it for a while, and I came back, well, after the Bitcoin boom. Unfortunately, I no longer have the Bitcoin either, so that's, I mean, tens of thousands of dollars that I'm missing out on between the 1.5 that I had, and I don't even want to think about what that all adds up to. I know what it does in my head between the 50-ish thousand and then half again, that's $85,000 worth of cryptocurrency that I can't even access, that I don't even have accounted for, and that hurts just a little, but well, we'll move on from here. All right, so talking about Coinbase following their earnings, and we had some really good reports on their earnings. There are some numbers that I want to share with you about their earnings, some of the concerns that we have. But for right now, I want to talk just about some of the price targets. We'll get to the chart and everything. So Loop Capital went from 398 down to 394. So they did, when they updated their price target, they're still saying, hey, this is still a buy. Over the next 12 months, we see it going up to almost $400 a share, $394 a share. Piper Sandler, I believe they initiated today at $335 a share. Rosenblatt went from $450 a share down to $400 a share, but they still maintained their buy rating. And then Compass Point went from buy down to hold, or maybe they maintained the hold. I forget that one. However, they're at 325. So whether we go from the 325 up to the 400, we're still well below those prices right now. So when you look at Coinbase's price when we get there, right now it's in, I believe it's in like the mid 200s. I'd have to look and see exactly where it closed today and what's happening in the after hours. But we have a fair amount of upside, and there's so many things that I like about Coin. First, let's talk about some of the things that might be dragging the price down. So one of the things is Bitcoin itself dropping down in price a little bit. Elon Musk being one of the people, one of the big influencers to come out and say, hey, we're not accepting Bitcoin. It's just too energy inefficient. There's too much fossil fuel usage going into powering this Bitcoin mining and I believe also maintaining the cryptocurrency, that he doesn't want to accept it, and so that caused a lot of downward pressure on the price, and I think it's somewhere between 60 and 70% of the assets on the platform for Coinbase that are Bitcoin alone. So a lot of the billions of dollars of the assets on the platform are, the majority are Bitcoin, and the minority after that, Ethereum's the next biggest, but everything after that is less than half combined. Bitcoin by itself is over half of the assets under management. So that's something that can weigh down on the stock price. Also, the competition that the competition that Coinbase faces going forward, coming with other exchanges for cryptocurrencies, and also that driving down to the transaction fees down to doing a zero, free transactions for buying and selling cryptocurrencies on the different cryptocurrency markets. That's something else that's huge for Coinbase, because right now that's where the bulk of their revenue comes from, is from those transaction fees. It's not that they don't have other opportunities for revenue streams. They know it's a problem, and they know that it's something that they're going to work on, and I think that they're being really progressive about it, and that's a good thing. So what do they have going for them? Liquidity, by having tons of coins available and having the market makers there on their platform. That allows an efficient market where you go to buy something and you can purchase it. You go to sell something and it's sold. So that's something that we definitely want to look for. And then also security, that I don't believe that there's ever been any major hacks on their platform. And trust me, I guarantee you people are trying to get through that. I mean, that's just the nature of the internet anymore, is that if there's something there that people want, well, they'll target it until they can make something happen. And right now, Coinbase has been very good at staving off any sort of major threat to their platform via the security. There's also a lot of trust that goes along, and that's also tied to that security. So people trust Coinbase as a platform. So that combines to a strong economic moat going for Coinbase, and that's something that I definitely like about it. They also offer, I think, like 108 different cryptocurrencies, and then they just added on like 13 more in this past quarter. Dogecoin is up and coming in the next 6 to 8 weeks, according to Coinbase. So Dogecoin being a popular one, bringing more people who would like to trade Dogecoin but would like to have a trustworthy place to do so. WEBULL does it. I have WEBULL. It's the platform that I show in my videos when I do my recordings and I put them up on YouTube. I use it myself for some of the trading that I do, and I really like the interface on it. So there's a link down in my description if you want to sign up, deposit $100. You'll get 2 free stocks for it, valued up to $1,850. I get 2 free stocks. It helps support the channel. I'm going to move on from that plug. So some other things that Coinbase can do, they can use subscription-like revenue streams, storing coins, staking, which is like transaction validations through their platform, so like the maintenance, if you will, of those cryptocurrencies, and also borrowing and lending. And then something that actually kind of reminds me of DraftKings is that Coinbase is just spending a ton of cash making sure that they're the leaders in their space, that they do not want any sort of competition that even comes close to what they can offer in the crypto space as an exchange for cryptocurrencies. That heavy spending, right now, it's going to really cut into their bottom line. It's going to cut in hard. However, it's even going to cause those EPS misses probably to happen because they're going to spend so heavy into that. But you want a company like that to do it early so that way they can establish themselves, because once they establish themselves as the surefire leader, the go-to cryptocurrency exchange, well, then they have it made in the shade. That's where people will go because that's the place to go. It's kind of like online shopping. I can tell you oftentimes I go to Amazon to do my online shopping. Why? Because I know I can find stuff there, and I know that I can have it sent to me, and I know that I can trust it. And sometimes when I do a Google search to see what other deals I get other websites that I've never heard of, and I don't want to shop with them. Why? Because I don't know if I'm going to get scammed or if it's an actual item. I don't know if they're going to charge me excess shipping fees. There's just so many questions that come up. Whereas with Coinbase, that's something that if they can establish themselves as the leader and keep that trust and keep that security and take those transaction fees down as the competition increases to at least match the other competitors, or even squish out the other competitors by offering zero transaction fees. Those are things that would be just phenomenal, and I really think that Coinbase is doing the things that are necessary in order to come out as the leader in the cryptocurrency exchange space. All right, let me share just a little bit of documentation with you so I can talk some particulars. So let me switch over to my screen share. All right, so what you're looking at here is one of the SEC filings, and what you can see is assets on platform. And you can see from the retail investors, 101 billion, because this is in billions of dollars, and just over half of that by institutional investors. So we have heavy retail investor interest, heavy institutional investor interest, and then when you look at the Q1 totals that we have, Q1 totals for 2021, 62%, I remembered it was between 60 and 70, 62% of the assets on the platform are Bitcoin. So out of all the $223 billion of assets on the platform, you have 60% of 223 or whatever, so like 130-ish billion dollars in Bitcoin is what we're looking at, and then only 14%. So in comparison, even though that's a lot of Ethereum, there's like 25 or 30 billion dollars worth of Ethereum on Coinbase. So that's a ton, but it still pales in comparison to what we have for Bitcoin. There's still like over 4 times as much percentage-wise money tied into Bitcoin for the assets on the platform as there is to Ethereum. And as those prices change, that would fluctuate how those percentages play into it, because I believe that this is by dollar that we look at when we're looking at the assets that we have here. All other cryptos that we have, 21%. So that 21% of the assets on the platform that we're looking at, that's for every other crypto coin available. Dogecoin coming in might shift those numbers around a tiny bit depending on how much they bring to their platform when it comes out in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So other things that we want to look at, if you check it out, their transaction revenue from retail investors is about 1.5. It's just shy of $1.5 billion in transactions from the retail investors. Institutions are only paying about 85 million. And why is that so low? It's because the institutional investors, I believe that they're sort of used as the market makers, so they get in trade for allowing the buying and selling of the different coins and helping to ensure that liquidity with those coins, that you have an efficient market with near instantaneous transactions or seemingly instantaneous transactions taking place. They give significant discounts to those institutions for trading on their platform. So this transaction revenue, this is where things kind of get dicey for their revenue, because only 85 million came from institutions, 1.5-ish, just shy of $1.5 billion from the retail investor. And as more competition comes into the crypto exchange space, that transaction revenue is going to dry up over time, and that's one of the risks that you have with Coinbase, is where else is your revenue going to come from if this makes up most of the revenue that you have. So when you look at subscription and other subscription and services revenue that we have down here, these total all the way up to 56 million, which when you compare that to the 1.5 billion in total transaction revenue, it's not a lot by comparison. So when you look at custodial fees, staking, earn campaign revenue that they have, interest income, other subscriptions, they need to expand on the revenue streams, and they really need to start filling out these numbers that they have, along with whatever else, whatever other services that they can provide, in order to really grow that, not only to these levels that we see to replace the transaction revenue over time, but also exceed it if we're going to continue to see growth with Coinbase going forward. So that is a very real concern on how Coinbase is going to handle that. They might, in the short term, get away as that competition expands. They might get away with being able to offer the same or slightly higher fees, but with all those other bonuses that they have, liquidity, security, trust, all the coin offerings that they have, those are things that might draw in people anyway. Yeah, you pay a little bit more, but you get more access and you can trade easier, and well, that helps buying at the right time and selling at the right time. So these are all things that could be to the advantage of Coinbase and anybody investing through Coinbase. All right, finally, we'll look at the daily chart for Coinbase, and you can see since its IPO, it came out right along with the sell-off of all things tech, and then also the different crypto news and stuff that we've had. It's had a struggle. I was waiting for it to drop below 300 before I bought in, and I did. I think I bought in either 275 or 285. It's looking like it's getting to establish a bottom here, which would be the next entry point that I would come in at this, seeing if it holds this bottom. If we're going to bounce from where we're at right now, that would be a really good sign that it's time to get in. I could go ahead and buy a couple more shares, add them to the growth portfolio, and this is one I think that over time we're going to see that strength come out, and the analyst estimates certainly evidence some of that strength. And if you look to see right now, it looks like on WEBULL we have 11 analysts that are being tracked right now, the lowest of which is 250, and we're currently near that price. The other 12-month price targets, the average is 439, a significant upside from where we're at right now, like 60% or something like that, up from where we are right now to get to that, all the way up to $650. That must come from a really bullish case for Coinbase over the next 12 months in order to hit that sort of price target. So I looked at some of these before, and until it IPOs, until it comes out, until you see how it's trading, it's just hard to make those sort of guesses. I really like the high 300s to low 400s over the next 12 months. I'd really be okay with like 350. I think that would be a good pace. I do not want a fast run up. I would like to see slow, steady gains, and I would like to see it continue to trade at somewhat of a reasonable multiple. If that should climb too high, if it goes up too quickly, then, well, that would be a sign for me that I might want to maybe lock in a couple dollars worth of profit, because typically stocks usually tend back to a more normal valuation relative to their peers and relative to the market. So that's something that we would most definitely want to take a look at and consider as we trade. Some people will just hold no matter what, rather than trying to time the market, and that's a very solid investment strategy, and it's one that, it's one of the things I do with my growth portfolio is I buy it and I hold on to it. And people in my Discord over at my Patreon, that link for the Patreon's down in the description, by the way, What are you selling? Are these still your high convictions? What are we going to do? I'm down this much money. And I keep reminding them I'm not worried for my portfolio for short-term volatility that we have now. Yes, I know that there's quite a few who have suffered, quite a few stocks that have suffered quite a bit over this time, but they were long-term holds before we had the sell-off, and they're still long-term holds now. And I think that a lot of them, after we get through the volatile period, I think that will start to recover nicely as inflation fears subside, as the money starts to rotate back into tech and high growth. We're going to see a lot of that strength return and a lot of those increases that I've experienced at the beginning of the year through that portfolio. I think that we're going to see a lot of strength come back to those companies. So let me summarize. Coinbase, I think Coinbase is the leader, and I think that they're going to really establish themselves as the number one place to go for cryptocurrency exchanges. And I think having that trust behind them, for me, that's the biggest thing, is trust, because my 1.5 Bitcoins that I had, poof, they're gone because I didn't keep them in cold storage. I didn't keep them with a trusted bank or wallet, whatever you want to call it. And, well, it got hacked. They're gone. And then, well, I still had my 20,000 Doge, which was pretty much worthless at the time. 10 grand now. So much for that. I'll keep looking. Maybe I'll get lucky. Maybe I'll find those things, and hopefully at that point in time, Doge is still on its run. We'll have to see how it goes from there. I will look also through my old pictures. I have pictures of my mining rig, and when I find them, you would not believe how ugly this thing is. It was atrocious. Anyway, back to Coinbase, which I probably have called Bitcoin 1,000 times now. Back to Coinbase. Love Coinbase. I think it has great potential for it. I think they have some bugs to work out, and for me to really go heavy into it would really see them working through how they plan to and how they execute building out their revenue besides or beyond the current transaction revenue that they have, because that has a time limit on it that's relatively short, and it gets shorter with more competition, with more outside pressure from other companies that do cryptocurrency exchanges. Then those are things that would really eat into that transaction revenue, or the ability to charge a transaction fee for trading the cryptocurrencies. So that's what I have for you today. If you're interested in joining my Patreon to see my growth portfolio, my dividend portfolio, my weekly newsletter, my weekly watch list of stocks, all of those things, and my private Discord, all of that stuff you can access through the link that's down in the description. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. If you want to check out WEBULL, there's a link down there too. You get 2 free stocks just by signing up and depositing $100. You have a shot at up to $1,850. I get 2 free stocks for the referral, so thanks again. Any support that you show, and hit me up down in the comments. Say hello. Let me know your opinion on Coinbase. It's always good. Maybe there's something that I left out, something crucial that we would most definitely want to know about and want to consider. And so that way other people watching this video and reading the comments could get more of a well-rounded perspective. I would like to let you know that I don't have any pride or ego wrapped up in these investments that I make. It's not about that. It's about making informed decisions. And if I'm missing something in that perspective, well, then let me know that part of the perspective. And, I really appreciate it. I will bring you anything that I find for these companies as I talk about them. And as time goes on, I tend to usually circle back and update them from time to time, especially as big news comes out. I better let you go. Thank you guys for stopping by. Subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate it. Hit the like button. It helps out the algorithm. Hit the notification bell so you can see anytime that my videos come out. And share it with your friends. Help me grow this thing. And the more time the more growth we have, the more time they can spend on here bringing this information to you. Thank you so much. Remember, these videos are for entertainment purposes only. Always do your own research and due diligence. Contact a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. I'm Dr. Stock. Thanks for rocking with me. Now go get that money.